y'all? Miguel here for the second half of our X-Men 97 finale panel. Um, we're just gonna get right into it. So if you're new here, we're talking about X-Men 97. We've covered the entire series. This is the panel episode covering the last four episodes of X-Men 97, and we have some awesome guests, general nerdiness, blurtiness, the whole thing. Like, subscribe, hit up us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. So without further ado, here's the playback. Some more of it. Jay, give us Tolerance is Extinction Part 2.
So I call this the gaslighting episode because Charles returns and immediately tries to lay everything that's happening at the feet of Magneto, saying, "Oh, how could you do this? This is really bad. That's not great that you did this because now they're gonna fight us." And it gets doubled down by other members of the team where Cyclops is just like, "Well, this is what you get for making him leader." And I'm just like, are we watching different shows? Because what happened was Magneto came and we was all on that time with you, Scott. This is crazy. Right. He should not be the leader. That is wild. This is stupid. But we all stood corrected. He stood on business. He held them down. He laid down his weapons multiple times. He was the one that got folks to want to bring Genosha into the UN. He could have killed all those people. Did not do it, right? And so then Genosha is destroyed. He is then captured. A sentinel army is unleashed on the world to exclusively hunt down mutants. And then he finally has a response, and he's the problem. And
he's the problem.
I don't.
As they're getting jumped.
As they're getting jumped.
Because as usual, Charles, where were you? Okay, so
in space.
Didn't love that was happening. And the reason why I didn't love that it was happening was it wasn't, if it were the characters that believed that, it would be one thing. But I think there were some moments where I felt like the narrative of the show itself was trying to get us to believe that Magneto was an issue. And I didn't like that dissonance because I was just like, well, that's just so clearly incorrect. So to jump a little bit backwards, Roberto and Jubilee are now running away, left the party. They're about to get attacked somehow, some way, because somehow Storm comes in and saves the day, finds them in the middle of Brazil, I guess. And it's great because we're just like, well, we don't really care how you got here, Queen. We just happy you back, right? And so we're just glad
we are so happy to see you.
And so she saves them. Now everyone's back at the X-Mansion team. And Jean's like, "Oh my God, sis, girl, I missed you." And Storm's like, "Girl, I miss you too." What is going on? Where is it? We're just like, where's Allah has gone down? Where the mansion? Okay, and now okay, and Gimp. Oh, he dead. Wow. Okay. Also, this is my man. His name is Forge. Forge, this is my family.
Hey guys.
We blowing my back out, and it is what it is, right? Also, I got my powers again. Oh my God, yeah, this is amazing. Okay, so now Magneto arrives and he's just like, "Look, y'all, we know what I did. We about to shut shit down. Who's coming along for the ride?" And Charles again tries his little gaslighting thing, like, "You can't do this." And then he was like, "Charles, normally I say good to see you, but I really don't got time for this today. We leaving. Who's coming?" And Rogue is just like, "Daddy, I'm gonna be there, okay? Because fuck these niggas, fuck these people, okay?" And she's wearing Gambit's jacket, everything. I was like, "Rogue, what are you doing?" She's like, "We talk too much. They need hands. We is dying. Y'all weren't there. You ain't seen what I saw and have been through. Yes. We not doing this no more." And then Roberto's just like, "My mommy rejected me. I don't know what accent I just gave him. I'm so sorry." My dad is invisible because we've heard about him, but we have not seen this man at all. And he's just like, "I'm tired of I really trapped myself in my queerness this whole time just to come out and then be hunted and murdered and killed. And I'm tired of it. Since you met me, people been hunting me down and I'm tired." Right? And so he leaves. And it's understandable. We get it. And so they go off. Okay. And now Charles is just like, well, this is a problem because like we got to reverse this EMP situation because this could send us into the dark ages. We got to turn the lights back on. And so he's talking to, also, sorry, we shouldn't miss this. Bastion has released the news of Charles being alive to everybody. And now they're just like, oh, so was these niggas lying, trying to get some sympathy? Where he come from all of a sudden? He was dead and he had got them sympathy. And now, okay, it's given trickery. It's given tricks. Maybe they deserve what was happening to them. So now Charles is talking to the president. He's just like, oh, like, we're going to take care of this. Don't go after Magneto. Like, you've trusted us before. Let us do this. And the president's just like, I mean, okay, but like, y'all don't do what you got to do. We going to have to step in and do it. And Charles is like, bet, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So now we got two teams. We got Team Bastion. These are some members that are going to go take the fight to him directly. And then we got Team Magneto. And I love a meme that I saw when Scott's just like, okay, y'all going here, y'all are going there, and assigns Wolverine to Team Magneto. And everyone's just like, yeah, well, don't forget, that man controls metal, and that man is metal. And Scott's just like, no, I said what I said. Okay?
No, he's
so, yeah, this is, I know what I'm doing. So
I feel like somebody set me up.
Right. And Wolverine too dumb to notice, right? So he's just like, okay, I'll go shing. There's a cute little joke between Scott and Cable where it kind of inverts a line from the X-Men movies of just like, what do you think we were going to wear black leather? And they get into their bright, flashy kind of original costumes and they go out. Jean and Storm share a bar of a line back and forth where they're just like, girl, this been a lot, girl. And she's like, girl, I know, girl. And they're just like, all right, well, we got to get to fight now, sis. But like, look, make sure they weather your mind, sis. Or mind your weather, sis. And she's like, and make sure they weather your mind. It's like, okay, pop, pop, and do the secret handshake and they fly off.
Very cute.
So now Jean touches down. Sinister is there. He has a lot of feelings. They're fighting back and forth. First, Jean isn't doing too well. And then she just start mollywopping him with bowling balls, right? It was just like, okay, interesting choice, but sure. And we love to see Sinister get jumped. And that's happening there. Meanwhile, Storm is back. And we're just like, yes, the goddess is here. She gonna have him. She gets shot from behind, drops into the sea. And we're just like, okay, Aurora, okay. And because she was looking out for her new man. And that happens, and we're just like kind of sad. Jean starts to lose her fight and decides to send a little message to her man on the moon because that's where Magneto's hiding now. And she's just like, this might be it, babe. I know I died before, but it looks like my time is coming again. And so now, meanwhile, we have like a Civil War situation happening on the moon because we got X-Men team against X-Men team. Things aren't great. Niggas fight niggas. Jubilee's like, Roberto, stop. Roberto's like, I don't want to hurt you. She's like, sir, you've been here all of 9 seconds. Okay, I am trained. I know what I am doing. I can hold this down. And we hate to see the family fight because no one wins when the family feuds, right? So this is happening back and forth. Charles is yelling at Magneto yelling at Charles, and Magneto rightfully says what is in all of our spirits. And he's just like, Charles, I love you. You are my man. Like, we will always be soulmates. The time that I hold you in bed is when I feel the most comfortable and safe. But I swear to God, shut up. And puts a little thing around his mouth, and we're just like, what a great moment.
Time.
And then Wolverine then stabs that man through the chest, and we're like, oh no, Magneto, oh no. And then Magneto's just like, I'm going to survive this because comics, but here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to rip the metal from all of your body. And we just see Wolverine like, and that's the sound he made. And it's not great. There's some moments in there, Jubilee has a little moment, Cyclops has a little moment, but that's where it ends. We just watch as Wolverine is in pain, and it's a panel seemingly pulled right from the comics, and that's checking my list. That's episode 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Tis indeed.
So, Jay, I mean, chef's kiss. Xavier and Cyclops have. You mentioned a little bit of distrust, but like there is this very much big tension around.
Not enough,
right? Cyclops feels extremely betrayed, and is like, "What the fuck?
Why Magneto?"
Right. And then Xavier explains that he wanted them to go off and have a life outside of the X-Men, and it's like that's not how you were supposed to do it. That's not how you didn't communicate this to me at all. What the fuck are we doing?
Mm-mm,
so
no.
There's that. The expansion has been destroyed, so where they go suit up is Mirror Island, which is a place in the comics where and the original series, where they had like a base of operations. Um, the Beast and Forge create a collar to block Bastion's technopathy powers. Forge is about to be like, we could use some of that mutant suppression tech, and Storm shuts that down immediately. He's like, no, we're not doing that to one of our own. Absolutely not.
But is he one of our own?
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah, he's been a little tainted.
Yeah, Sinister takes control of Cable's mind.
Yes.
Which is because Sinister low key kind of like made Cable, which we kind of forget about. So in Cable is low key just as powerful, if not more powerful than Jean as a.
And I have such issues with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
We'll get into that in a sec. So they're having that psychic battle alongside of Cable's mixed like Cyclops and Jean blasty powers. So there's that, and I think that's all of the things that I would add. We're gonna.
I was looking up
Go ahead.
what Cable's mutant power was because whenever I see that man, he's always just with his gun. And
Yeah, exactly.
and so this was like episode 7. I was like, what is his mutant power? Like, I can't remember it. Because I was like, is it like Bishop's where he's absorbing energy and shooting it through a gun? But I was like, that's redundant to have 2 future niggas with the same power. So I was like, that can't be it. And so I look it up and it's like, yeah, no, it's telekinesis and stuff. And I was like, that's crazy. He never uses it. And then all of a sudden uses it against someone who's been using it forever and overwhelms her. I'm just like, when has he been practicing? When he just been pew-pewing all the time, which also doesn't make sense because, sir, why would you? What I read, this is what I would say. What I read was his power was constantly fighting the virus within him, the technovirus.
Yes.
And that's why he doesn't use it because it's so busy doing that. But it's giving that was not the reason in this iteration of it. So I too, Daisy, had issues with how he's overwhelming an Omega level mutant Jean Grey. But I'll also talk about that as it relates to the last episode in a second.
Yeah. But like he used his power for like the first time in a very long time, allegedly, according to him, and yet somehow is able to take down your bitch Jean Grey. I was like,
I don't know why you keep attaching her to me so strongly because I do not feel a level of loyalty to Jean Grey to the degree that you're describing.
That fainting woman, Jean Grey, her best power is her ability to faint at the drop of a hat whenever things get difficult. Love that for her. Honestly, I wish I could do the same.
And honestly, it is such bad writing of your women because I know that this is later, but Jean is more powerful without the Phoenix. She comes into that power, and I am just like,
we gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it.
We are gonna talk about it, and also, I know we're gonna talk about this, but I feel like the first leg of this entire series arc was so much stronger than its last leg. And it just felt like we had to descale all of the magnificence that you saw in order to service this plot line that we have. And so we gave you a lot of
narratively
cool shit.
It's weaker, or do you feel like the power scaling is too all over the place?
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
Because I feel like if they had like maybe 5 more episodes, it would have been a lot cleaner. But it really just felt like, now that we have the big bad, we have to make it impossibly difficult for you all to achieve victory in this situation.
Right.
And I felt like that buildup just was not earned. I don't think that was earned, even though the creator got on Twitter and was saying, "Oh yeah, Bastion has been present in every episode." I'm like, that matters not to me because we need to have more when it comes to creating this overwhelming threat.
Yeah, I the biggest critique I could give the show is its pacing, because it uses what it has well, but
Yeah.
at the detriment to some character development, specifically for Bastion. And I think focusing in on the interrelationships between the X Men and their inner strife is one of the things that make X Men stories so like awesome and important. But that doesn't mean that you can replace the need for a captivating villain with that strife. Like
Right.
you need both for a story to be not just great, which I think this was a great season of television, probably my favorite adaptation of X-Men on screen, from great to amazing. I think it's almost teetering there. Daisy, you seem to have a lot of feelings.
Yes, I watched the show purely on emotion. And I once again was upset, and I had thought when we had taken away Storm's powers that that was kind of like we had our moment of like Omega level threat detected, and that was the comics finally affirming to the fans that Storm was an Omega level mutant, because fans have been fighting over that for years. And the rest of us who know, we know, and like she has been listed as that, so I think it was just them saying, this is it, you can't change it. They took her out, and then they brought her back, and we're like, this is the moment. This is Storm giving us all that she has. Like, we're ready to see her at her best. And they were like, she got taken out by a gun or something. I don't even know. Like, she's out. Right. And I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Cool. That's great. And I, as a big Storm fan, like, I was just genuinely disappointed, but not surprised. It's just the continuation of what they do with that character. So it was very frustrating. The episode, like, it was Charles's greatest gaslighting moments on film. We have not seen him at his peak gaslighting until that episode.
Talk about it.
Genuinely hate that man. Hope somebody pushes his wheelchair into a pond or something. I was glad where they had that brief moment where I think it was like he woke up from bed and he had to move his legs, which was a really poignant moment, because I feel like he'd been off doing whatever he was doing and he was able to walk, and that was like a moment for him to like experience walking again after years.
Which was his woman just petty and was just like, if you want to leave, fine, but we keep the exosuit.
Yeah,
so
exactly is staying.
Yes,
I think,
exactly.
And I think it was very much that moment, because I would have done the same. Like, so good for her. Again, I do everything based off of pettiness 100%. So I was proud of her. But I think he had to like realize, I escaped. I was good. I would have been good for life, but I decided to come back and help these children. Not that you're actually helping them, you're most likely hindering them. But he had his moment, where he was just like, back at it again. It's like when you wake up for work in the morning on Monday, and you're just like, damn, that weekend went by real fast. That moment of freedom was just, and so his weekend was over. His vacation was done. It was back to reality. And he didn't love that for himself, but I loved it for him, because I like to see that man suffer as much as I can.
Sure.
But I was just like, okay, so Bastion is really this big bad. Like, he's really that OP, that, the X-Men that we are used to seeing going through all sorts of battles really just kind of have to like struggle in this fight. And like I was like, I can't see Jean Grey as much as I don't love her. Like, I like her enough and understand understand her power to be like, huh? Like, Cable? Like, what? This doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're Jean Grey. I know you were out for the count for a little bit, but like, girl, get it together. Stand up. Like, what?
Stand up.
Stand up. So yeah, and I think obviously we'll talk about it more in the next episode, because I think it was even more obvious in the next episode. But it was yes, it was very fast. I think pacing was off. I think they did their best with the narrative as much as they could. I missed 24 episodes of TV shows. I can't stand streaming services doing 8 to 10 episodes. It frustrates me. Or doing part 1 and part 2. Shout out to Bridgerton for that bullshit. I needed more, and like with comics, it's really hard to condense that much unless you're gonna make it into like a made-for-TV movie. Which you could pretend that this is what that was, but I needed more. And then the power scaling was really just so very off for me. And I understand that they had to do it in order to kind of like make Bastion seem bigger and badder than he is. But I was like, if you're doing that for Bastion, what are we gonna be doing season 2?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they just missed a bunch of opportunities for like a slam dunk. Like if we're going to take Storm's powers away, we're going to gradually bring them back out over the course of the season with really great character moments, which I really appreciated. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And two things I think could have made this a slam dunk. Like instead of just having Cable blasting Jean Grey into oblivion, you like have Sinister, Cable, and Bastion team up on Jean.
Yep.
Right.
And like that makes total sense to me. That's fair.
Mhm.
And then instead of in the next episode bringing Dark Phoenix up for 0.2 seconds, Storm shows up, gives them the forecast times 3.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then then everything kind of fits into this beautiful little box of like, no, we have an Omega level threat
Yep.
coming down with a literal tornado breaking shit up. Maybe just destroys Cable's control chip, whatever that Sinister
Yep.
was using, and with lightning. And we're in the exact same place, and we didn't have to bring the Dark Phoenix out of nowhere. We're gonna get into the next episode, but yeah.
Yeah, because mind you, Storm fell into the ocean, and I'm just like, oh shit, she
Right,
is like
this
in
is it.
the. I'm like, this is the most powerful she is
wave.
ever gonna be.
Oh.
Like, here we go, and then next episode, she's in that predicament. I'm just like, what are we doing?
You know what I would have loved for that moment? It reminds me in X2 where, again, Gene's stupid, Fiend Fire, whatever, it's stupid. But I'm just like, instead of like, snuck behind the back, I got shot, make it a moment like an X2 where like she's holding on to Forge's plan that's about to go down and fighting all these people with other hands. That's a little something. And it's still
There we go.
narrative. It still is a thing, but it's a moment. And so, yeah, I took a lot of umbrage with, people being like, how could they have done it? And it's like, we're not asking for her to single-handedly destroy the fucking asteroid. Although I will talk about, I just unlocked that memory.
We are going to talk about it.
Okay, hold on to it, Jay. Don't forget. There were ways that it could have been done. So yes, that's that one. We ready for the finale?
We're ready.
Let's go ahead, do it.
Let's do it.
So this fuck ass finale. Okay, so Wolverine has been all his powers, his adamantium. And so for those that are unclear, Wolverine, as we learned from that trash ass movie, X-Men Origins, for those of us that, again, we're not comic people, his real power is bone claws, where like his bones form claws.
The healing factor.
And
as
healing,
well as the healing factor.
And immortality, kind of. Yeah.
And so when he's experimented on, his skeleton is then laid with adamantium, and that's how the bone claws become the knife thingy-majiggies. So that happens. Professor Xavier hijacks Magneto's powers in a way that he never seems to do, again, the people that want to kill them, and forces Magneto to reverse the EMP, but fucks with his mind, right? And in doing so, they kind of relive, but it's a little bit revisionist history to them when they came out to each other, although, again, that's not quite how it happened. And, Miguel and I have talked a lot about the queer undertones in this story. That was the gayest it ever was, okay?
Yes.
It was very much just like, do the secret
Yes.
tap that you got to do in the bathroom to let somebody else know that you're down to, and that's what it was in
handkerchief
that moment.
code. Yep.
Whatever it is,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And so they get real close. We think they might kiss at one point. They do not. But it is very much, again, giving that all of this pain and drama that has caught up so many people, in a lot of ways could have been laid to rest if toxic masculinity didn't exist and these men were allowed to love each other openly and freely. Jean has been defeated by her son, not son, and rises from the water, not as Jean, but as the Phoenix Force. And here's why I think that she rose as the Phoenix Force. Although I want to jump back 1 second. She rises as the Phoenix Force. And hilariously, Aurora's just like, yo, it's over for y'all now. Look at my bench. That's my bench. And a hilarious moment where she laughs in their faces. Jean then awakens as the Phoenix Force and shuts things down. And the reason I think she had to be the Phoenix Force here is because she burns out all the mutant powers that Sinister had stolen, which I don't think she could have just done telekinetically, right? I think they needed a device in order to justify that happening, and Phoenix Force was that. And of course, it was very Deus Ex Machina, because she ends by saying like, and that was the last of the Phoenix Force that was in me. And it was just like, okay, all right.
It's coming back at some point.
It's just like, okay. So that happens. Bastion rips off Cable's arm, takes in his technovirus, and kind of becomes even more powerful. The UN is just like, this is where we see Captain America and Iron Man in the bunker, and they just like, sir, do we shoot these missiles? And they was just like, sir, if this goes wrong, like, Heike, we could all die. And he's just like, okay, let's do it. And it's just like, and then, you know, they shoot the missiles, and it's crazy. Everyone's worried in the asteroid because it's like, oh no, Professor's in Magneto's mind, but like, if his mind gets taken over and it don't work, Charles, you gonna be dead too. And Charles is like, it's something I have to do. I crossed the boundary. I have to be there with my man in his maybe final moments, okay? Because I'll never forgive myself. And so he's basically in Magneto's mind, trying to restore him, trying to help him remember who he is, and then further telepathically gaslight him again into, you know, not being where he was and not being justified completely in all of his behaviors and actions. So now, you know, the missiles are coming. Bastion's there. They're fighting Bastion. And they're just like, Bastion, you're so angry, but like, you could have been one of us. Like, Charles was looking for you. You could have been on the original team with us. He's like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. And they start to talk no jutsu him in a way that really starts to piss me the fuck off. Because it's like, your feelings, and they have Storm doing it too. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, we're better than this. We got to stop fighting. We just need to talk. And it's like, again, genocide. When y'all do this stuff, it feels so disrespectful to the lives that have been lost, right? But whatever. They fully do Charles's thing. They try to talk it out. Luckily, like, it don't quite work. The missiles is coming. Shit's going crazy. This was the episode where Jubilee has a thing and she like cuts off some of his wings or whatever. Rogue, Molly Whopping, sir. Okay. Smacks him right in the face with
Captain Marvel's powers.
With all that, right? So all that's happening. And then, oh no, now the asteroid's going to fall because these fuck-ass idiots try to missile it. And now this, again, the part that pisses me off. You got 2 Omega level mutants struggling. Oh, the asteroid big. Oh God, how we gonna do this? Okay, and it's rocks and it's all that stuff, and they trying, and it's not working. Unfortunately, it's not working. They're not gonna be able to do it because they strong, but they're not that strong. And now here comes Magneto, freshly stabbed. I want to bring that back, right? Freshly stabbed through the chest and just woken up from the mind shenanigans by Charles. And somehow he could do what 2 Omega levels couldn't do, okay? And he saves the day and pissed me off some more. And so that's the day. There's this boom. Oh no, what's happening? There's this oh no, now we got like the disappearing. A disappearing happens for a lot of people. Who's left on land? I think on land it's Jubilee
Forge.
and Morph.
Where's Wolverine?
And Forge.
We don't know where Wolverine is.
Yeah, we don't see Wolverine or Aurora. And so now all of a sudden it's like, where are the X-Men? Oh no. And so the day, quote, quote, is saved. And some time goes by. And everyone's just like, well, yeah, we got out of that nonsense. And Ford is just like, I just know they're dead. And there's like this really cool scene where there's some photos up of all these mutants, and we get to have some Easter eggs of ones that are around and clearly existing in the universe, some who are, quote, dead, some who are, quote, missing, being the ones that we're all used to. And then we kind of go into 2 time zones. We go deep into the past, where a group, who was in that group? It's Charles and...
it's Charles, Magneto,
wasn't Nightcrawler there?
And Rogue.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So they're in the past, and they meet the man who will become Apocalypse. And then deep in the future, we have I don't think Cable is there. Yeah, so it's just Cyclops and Jean.
Yeah, it's just Cyclops
right?
and Jean, yeah.
and they meet Hope, which I believe is also their child, and there's also a young Cable there. And then we cut back to the present, and we see, speaking of people that were dead not being dead, we see Apocalypse, where he like picks up one of Gambit's cards from the rubble, very much giving. And we all know the Apocalypse story because high key, I think we've also seen this storyline too much, and I was surprised that they would do this again because like we do an Apocalypse storyline again. But in the comics, Gambit is the horseman of, what is it, death?
Death, yep.
Yes.
So it's giving he might be resurrected to do that. And that's most episode 10. And we don't know where Storm has gone. We don't know where Wolverine has gone. Yeah.
So a couple of framing things that we touched on but didn't get to in the first couple episodes that are helpful for context, right? So the whole reason that they're trying to stop Magneto or get Magneto to reverse the EMP thing that he did is because there's going to be a point in time, I think it's like midnight, after 12 hours after the EMP, in which the ozone layer of the Earth will just go away because of there'll be no electromagnetic field, and there'll be like a very like apocalypse level event will happen, like an extinction level event, if Magneto doesn't repolarize the electronic mumbo jumbo comic stuff that we got going on. So like there's that. And then when it comes to your recap, Jay, the Phoenix places the collar on Bastion. So it restores the Prime Sentinel's humanity, and then reverses Sinister's mutant. You already know all that. The X-Men are trying to figure out how to get the meteor to stay up, because it's going to come down after it's been shot. Like, so there's a weird confluence of events. The people on Earth, the president does not know what's happening. They think Magneto is still bad, or still trying to destroy all humans. So they don't wait for any sort of confirmation from the X-Men to see what's going on.
Because why wait? Why get information?
Why do that?
Why would you do that? No, yeah, that's stupid.
Xavier is trying to get Magneto to realize that what he's about to do is going to kill both humans and mutants, which he's not necessarily wrong, but fuck that motherfucker.
Exactly.
And we do see a lot of really cool and interesting cameos and scenes. So there is a really great moment between Cyclops and Jean and Cable, in which they're basically saying goodbye to their son. Nathan accepts Jean as his mother, which is a huge deal. And Jean does the Cyclops you can see Cyclops' eyes.
Use his eyeballs thing.
Yeah, for a second, for like effect, I guess.
You have your father's eyes.
Exactly right. We see Captain America and Iron Man in the Situation Room. We see Doctor Strange putting in work at the hospital, trying to actually help people. We see
Daredevil.
We see Black Panther.
Yeah.
We see a whole
T'Chaka.
Right. Like
which caused some drama because allegedly T'Challa didn't exist in that universe.
Right.
They've reverted now.
Exactly. So it's T'Challa's father, for those of you who aren't comic savvy per se. And then after the asteroid has been, we don't know who warped the asteroid away. We don't know that yet. We don't have that information. Bishop arrives and talks to Forge. Bishop's like, I knew y'all was gonna be messy, and I decided to just like
wait.
I knew what was going to happen. I was just going to go around it and just like
not my circus, not my monkeys. That was y'all's thing. Mm-hmm. Y'all go ahead and have that. I'm gonna step in when it's
he was on CPT.
Yes,
he was.
I respect
Peripheral
it.
practical training. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you need it. But those are all the things that I can like think of. But I mean, I feel like it sounds like we are negative on the series. I don't think we are. I think we love
No,
it.
we're not at all.
But I think we are criticizing it because we love it. Because there are certain things that if they had just tweaked, this could have been not a home run, but a grand slam.
Yeah.
Like of a series, even though it's still I think the best adaptation of X-Men on screen that we've seen, bar none.
Decades, yeah.
Deshaun, Daisy, any thoughts on the finale?
What do you mean you didn't love the new X-Men movies?
First Class and Days of Future Past, phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And then it fell off again.
Logan, amazing.
Logan was
Logan
great.
was great.
Yeah.
It was
Not
so
going to take
good.
away from that. Yes, they had it. It had its moments.
Yes.
It did.
And that's my fear with Disney so we don't know what Disney's really going to do with the X-Men. This is really the first time that we're getting Disney handling the X-Men by themselves.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. But I'm holding my breath. That
Deadpool
final
and Wolverine
episode
coming, and then they just hired a writer for the X-Men movie. So those are the next two pieces that we know.
And Deadpool is them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
No, it is.
It is Disney.
Started after
is
they
Disney
got
now?
it. I think so. Okay.
Yeah. This was developed by Disney's Marvel.
Yeah.
So, and you can tell immediately by Ryan Reynolds poking fun at pegging jokes in the first trailer, saying, I am no stranger to pegging, but Disney is. So, I know Jay doesn't like these crass ass jokes. I think Deadpool and Wolverine's gonna do a lot for the MCU woes that we've been experiencing the last year and a half.
I hope so, because it has been quite woeful. I have been bored for most of it. So, this final episode, it was just like so many things happened, and I wish it was an hour long. And I was just like, I needed, like, this ended so fast. I needed a little bit more. I'm like, where is everybody? What's going on? Who is where? Why are we doing Apocalypse again? Are we going to be doing Apocalypse in a different way? But I kind of hope not, because I want Gambit to come back. So, like, I'm good with it. Y'all can feel however you feel. Again, as I said, Gambit's my boy. So it's like Storm then him for me. And so excited. And I saw some of the comic book writers for who have been very excited for this potential plot line. So I'm just hoping to see something good out of it. I love following the comic book writers versus following the writers of this show or the former writer of this show, because he is a little off. I'm concerned. My thing that you didn't bring up was when Morph turned into Jean while Wolverine was in that bed, and there was fear making
How
that
did
happened.
we miss that?
I was surprised that both of you
moment.
didn't say anything about it. I was very upset. I hate queer characters falling in love with straight characters who are in love with straight women. Like, I don't love that. I want better for Morph. I had hoped that it was just a bromance between him and Wolverine. I can understand him being attractive to that short little Canadian, but we could do better. You know,
Bo did confirm that was a confession from Morph to Wolverine, a romantic one. So.
Which upset. And I was like, ugh, like, I want better for Morph. It's not that I'm upset with there being queer characters. Like, I am absolutely for it. Magneto and Charles are doing their post-divorce bullshit that they've been doing this entire time and dragging everybody along with them. But Morph and the Wolverine thing, he just is, because we know unless they are willing to do bisexual Wolverine, which we know they're not, we're not going to see it. And if they did do bisexual Wolverine, we know he would be in a throuple with Jean and Scott.
Exactly.
So, why are we even doing this?
I mean, Scott would be
so
wants
mad.
I know, but he does, but he doesn't know that he
it's
wants
enemies
it, so
to lover.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a chaotic yet very lustful and passionate affair, I think.
What if they bring it in Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine? What if they do that?
We'll see. Who knows? I mean,
Deadpool is too in love with Spider-Man for that to be a thing, I feel like. So.
But Spider-Man hasn't made an appearance. No. I'm saying Deadpool is like going to suggest it to Wolverine. I bet you there's going to be a joke of that.
I hope so.
Yeah. He's gonna ask some questions like, "I know
Yeah.
you're like end of the world Wolverine, but before that happened,
Right, exactly.
Exactly." Deshaun, any thoughts on the finale?
Yeah, so again, I knew Phoenix was about to make an appearance, and I did not necessarily want Phoenix to make an appearance. I wanted Jean to stand on her own two telekinetic feet and just really show I really don't need the Phoenix because I am stronger without her. But maybe it's too early for that. It's only season 1 of X-Men 97, so maybe it's too early. But again, I was just disappointed in our weather goddess's feats or lack thereof. Because again, she fell into the ocean. She had all of that power of nature around her to command. And we didn't even get a glimpse of that.
Right.
So that was really frustrating. I just
And then not even tell us where Sis is in time.
and not tell
Care
us where
so
she
little
is.
for her to not even like have her. Yeah.
Because I think it would be interesting if she ended up in like Wakanda back in the past. Like I think, and then we understand why they worship her as a goddess kind of thing. Like let's see if that's how they're going to explore it, but they didn't even give us a teaser.
No, nothing.
Yeah, and I like with the Jean Grey Phoenix thing, I think for me it kind of really hammered in the fact that Jean Grey is an Omega level telepath, but she is not an Omega level telekinetic. So she maybe couldn't stand on her own 2 feet when it came to going bar for
isn't
bar.
it the opposite?
No, she's an Omega level telepath. Yeah, I checked before I said this.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like Omega level mutants, and she's not. So that's very and but her daughter is. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. Which I'm excited to see more Hope Summers and go from there. But yeah,
real quick, I got a theory. So in the original series, there was an alternate future in which Wolverine and Storm were actually together.
And
we don't know where Morph is. So what if? What if we're doing different throuple? What if we're doing Storm, Morph, Wolverine, puppy? The puppy.
Not you encouraging bestiality, because people listening to this don't know what just happened. So clarify that.
There's a wonderful little pup on screen. No bestiality involved. But what if we're doing a Morph, Wolverine, Storm, throuple in an alternate future that they get blasted off to? I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but we can hope. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know the relationship with Forge is just
we can hope.
It's not.
Logan is dirty, and she is a goddess. I have never understood or
liked. He is a short little Canadian man.
He is a short, angry little man, and he does not deserve to drink our bathwater. Absolutely not.
Give us a little Thororo.
Let's do some Thororo. We've seen it.
Yes.
We want it. Let's take
exactly.
Just a taste. These are all flings for her. These are not. She is a bad bitch. She doesn't need any of them. But
none of them.
I was like, Forge, that was a cute little relationship for season 1. Let's move on to the next.
Yes, let's go goddess level. Like, come on. Because also, with the lack of feats, Thor, the god of thunder, has complimented Storm's control of the weather on so many.
Didn't she become Thor in the comics?
Occasions. She does also become Thor.
Yeah. But they did date in one comic series. It was like a brief one, but it was a relationship. They did.
And Thor was commenting on how warm Aurora's lightning was. Ooh. So it was
I do love that Aurora's dating someone right now that has no powers, and his name is like Craig. Like, good for her. She doesn't, and like he's willing to date someone who like has all of these bad bitch powers, is one of the strongest mutants that ever was, and he doesn't feel any type of way about being with her, And I was just like, that is true allyship from a man. Okay, all right, good for Craig.
Good for Craig. My God.
Yes.
Talk about.
We love Craig.
Yeah. Managing up. Jesus Christ.
Because Jean couldn't do it. Jean needs someone who's going to have some dominance in their relationship, because she faints too damn much to have. And she is always the submissive in her relationships, even in her friendships.
This is what I'm going to say. I feel, again, and this is not me defending that white woman, because I would never. Pero I feel like there is a version of Jean where I feel like she is the opposite of that, right? I think that so much of why I don't like Jean is I watch her shrink and dim herself, right? Like she is somebody who was always afraid of the magnitude of her power. And for so often, like she puts limits on it, both in her personality and in that. And I feel like there's another version that we've seen flashes of sometimes where she is not afraid of her power and becomes more assertive and becomes more dominant. And personally, I think for her to be the center of whatever Wolverine and Scott is for her to be the prime, right? Where it's just like, listen, I'm the common good here. Y'all need to service me, and it gives very much challengers, right? And just like, and if I want to see y'all kiss, I want to see that too. And it's like that version of Jean, I would be here for. Same with Aurora, and I'm just like, y'all need to stand up. Y'all need to both of them. And I will say a part of this we always have to keep in mind. It's like what I call like the Sakura problem, where people who dislike Sakura rarely dislike Sakura because Sakura is Sakura. It's because how Sakura is written. And I feel like we keep watching these people write these women poorly. And we got to keep not the knife. Okay, we got to keep our feet our foot on their necks. And not
the knife at their throats.
Right. I was just a little aggressive, that was not a threat. Play Black does not condone that particular type of violence.
This not devolved, but evolved into relationship advice for maybe some folks who are looking into polyamory.
Fair.
But I'll leave the last note to you, Jay, because I think you had the least of that of all of these exchanges. Any last thoughts on the season? Things you'd want to see in season 2. Actually, we'll go around. Jay, you start.
Sure. I think, as you mentioned, this is something that we all loved. I think that this has reignited a love and a passion for things, for this property, and then I think by extension, Marvel. I think what I've enjoyed most about this is having to sit and wrestle with some of the morality that it brought up, particularly around, again, how does an oppressed people exist in their oppression? How do they fight back? And I think it's very hard to disconnect this from the reality of the world we're living in right now, both with the reality for minorities as well as what's happening with a lot of these genocidal attempts in a lot of places in the world. And so there it felt like there was a prescience to this kind of narrative and storyline that can be uncomfortable at times, but I think was a really powerful affirmation and reminder of how art can speak to the times and hopefully like help us think about our own lives and how we show up. I think ultimately, again, I want the women to be better. I want the women to be written better. And I feel like people, namely the writers, have underestimated. Because I will say this, in our first episode, I said that I was trying to bite my tongue a little bit when they depowered Storm. And I said, allegedly, there's going to be a whole arc to this, and she's going to come and she's going to have her moment, and it's her journey. And I felt in that moment that there was extreme excitement in episode 1, part of for what Daisy said about like a celebration and a realization and an affirmation of all that we've known to be true about Storm. But I feel like this is one of those things where writers and executives don't fully understand the level of care and intensity we feel for Aurora Monroe. And it's because for so long we have not had a fully realized version of her on screen. And a lot of us feel like it is long overdue, and we're very passionate about that. And I hope that that is feedback that they take into the second season. I know that it was largely, figured out before this was released. But I really want them to know and understand, like, Storm is that bitch, and a lot of us feel that way, and we want to see more of her. So yeah, I think I love a good character-driven family drama with a supernatural backdrop, which this is. And so yeah, I'm excited to see it move forward. I agree that 8-episode seasons need to stop being a thing. Because writers can only do so much, especially when you're trying to balance a cast of characters as large as the X-Men. So yeah, I think overall felt great things. I'm going to give it a solid 8.7, I think, out of 10. just because I think the quibbles I had add up. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Overall, great work. I love to see it.
Okay, Daisy, final thoughts, maybe final rating and things you'd like to see for season 2.
Yeah, for me, I think it was definitely I think I give it more of a 9. There were their moments of disappointment, but I was truly just thrown back into the nostalgia of my childhood. Like I would literally watch it, wait till Saturday mornings with a bowl of cereal and watch the show, and I picked the sugariest cereal that I could. So just so I could feel that childhood again and just tap into my inner child. So I really appreciated it. I do really want them to do what the comics are doing and finally respect Storm as a character. Hopefully we will get that. Hopefully we will stop killing off Gambit because they like to do that a lot for so no damn reason. I'd like to see Jubilee fully come into her powers. I think we got a taste of it, but we didn't get her full experience yet. So I think, she's still learning and growing, and we're hopefully going to grow with her. And I just really appreciate it because I play Marvel Snap a lot. Seeing a lot of the characters, I was like, oh, I play that card all the time. Like seeing them on screen was really cute. So I really appreciated that. And I don't know, I want more lore. I want more story. I'm just very a story driven person. So hopefully we get more of that. I love action, but I like to hear story as well.
Hell yeah. Deshaun.
Yes. Yeah, so this was a very, very fun series. And I always made sure to watch it because, like, some series I start and then even if I fall off, I'm just like, do I want to go back to it? But this one, it made me excited to like watch it like first thing on a Wednesday, so I can get back on Twitter and I can see what people are discussing without spoiling it for myself. And so for that, the fact that it was something that was so exciting, and it's probably partly because of the nostalgia, I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It gets 7.5 out of 10 for me. Because I feel like there were way too many things that were too glaring. Like the story was too compressed in some situations, and it's only because we have 10 episodes to tell these huge stories. And so that part was a little not disappointing, but it was just like, okay, I want more. I want the episodes to be longer, or I want to have more episodes. And so for next season, I want to see them do right by the women of X-Men, because they truly are the heart of the entire series.
True.
And they need to be treated in that way, like the goddesses that both of them are. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes. And I'm just happy to have the X-Men back on my screen because they're my favorite from Marvel. I'm just so excited to have them back.
100%. I feel you, Deshaun, by the way, with the puppy always in the background. My little man barks all the time, for sure.
Just want attention, that's all.
Yeah. Just like we want the writers to pay attention to our favorite characters.
You're such a great host. Look at that. Masterfully
Look
done.
at that. We love that segue.
It is I agree with everything everyone's been saying. Like, it's just a beautiful thing to have X-Men back on our screen. This was definitely something that I took in by osmosis with my older brother. Not really understanding what was happening, but just seeing the epicness of it. It is one of the first animated series that had these big connected storylines. In a lot of ways, for the American audiences, it's the beginning of what made things like Avatar: The Last Airbender special. These big overarching connectivity and backstories of characters. So I'm super excited to see what they come up with. I hope they have more space and take more space, because while I know that it was a critical success, I don't know how much streaming money they actually made off of this, because it was such a kind of a niche property. In a lot of ways, I do hope that they take the archetypes for these characters that they've created and use them as templates for the eventual MCU versions of these characters. I think it would be a huge success. And to see that tension between, our more traditional superheroes, our Captain America, our Iron Mans, and all that kind of stuff, and these other powered beings are the X-Men, because not everyone's an X-Man. Folks are just mutants. So I think it's going to be an interesting parallel. And I think with that, I'm going to give it a.
I can't wait for the audio podcast.
I'll keep a few things in for sure, because I think Puppy Pants give everyone a little bit of dopamine. But I think I'm going to give it about an 8.9. I love the series. I loved the water cooler aspect of it that you were talking about. Just like every Wednesday, I know Jay and I were like in between like work meetings, and like I got 25 minutes. I think I can fit
literally.
It in. Let's so that I don't get spoiled and I can like talk about it and like all that kind of stuff. So
Miguel did that once. Was just like, bad idea. My energy is so wrong for this meeting now. Oh God, what did I do?
For sure. I think I'm going to cut it off here, y'all, because we've been going for a bit. I mean, I know it's a panel episode, and we're covering 4 episodes of TV.
I was already just like, we might need to break this up into 2. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll get there. But with that, I hope you've enjoyed Play Black. Daisy, Deshaun, can you give quick plugs on where people can find you on Instagram, Twitter? Daisy, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so you can find me at CharmedXDangerous on Instagram, and on Twitter it's Wicked Rain, so Wicked REINE, which is my normal handle for Twitch, Twitter, Discord, etc. So find me there, and hope to speak to more of you.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram at DGK the Flutist, FLUTIST. And I am also the same on Twitter, except I have an underscore. You can guess where the underscore is.
I'm adding Deshaun right now because apparently we didn't do that before.
Why would you have him guess where it is?
I'm kidding. It's after DGK. DGK underscore the Flutist on Twitter.
We'll make sure to put everything in the down below place where all the links live, so everyone can find you. Y'all can find us at Play Black Podcast on TikTok and on Instagram. If you have any, requests, things you want to see, make sure you hit us up at playblackpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, we will see you back here soon. Peace.
Ciao.
Such millennials.